Friends, welcome to our today's session. We are going to start a new subject or new topic today. This is about capital structure. By now, we have already understood how to compute the cost of various components of capital. For example, we already know how to compute cost of debt, cost of equity, cost of internal reserve, cost of preference share. In fact, we can compute anything which is there in the cost of anything which is a part of our capital structure. We know that. And also, we know how to compute WACC, which stands for weighted average cost of capital. All these things we know. So, after knowing all these things, now it's a time to decide what is the ideal capital structure or what should be the optimal, or you can say the best capital structure. In this context, we will be learning various theories of capital structure. They are called as capital structure theories. But before that, some other basic concepts we need to understand. We'll be also understanding what are the factors that determine a good capital structure, optimal capital structure. So this is what our plan is. Let me share my screen with you to start the topic. And just have a look at here. Look at your screen. We'll be learning about capital structure and what appearing before you. You can understand this. I'm showing you mixture. 2 packets of mixtures is before you. Why I'm showing you? You see, this mixture represents that it's a combination of various things, and each element has got a different cost. Okay. Similarly, in the capital structure, we got various components or various elements, and their costs are different. Something might be costing you, just like for mixer wala, something might be costing you very much. That means some of these items which are included in this mixer might be highly costly. Some of them may be relatively less costly. So he makes a combination. Normally he tries to minimize the use of costly things and maximize the use of cheaper things so that the overall cost will be minimum and he will be able to sell it as a defined price, and through that he'll be able to maximize his profit and will be able to maximize his wealth. That is the concept. That mixer wala takes a decision whenever he packs or a packet of mixer. He analyzes all these things, and it is within his knowledge what is the cost. So the first, you can say, the main determinants of creating the mixture is that awareness about cost. Since by now we already know what is cost of equity, what is cost of debt, whatever is cost of capital, how to compute all these things, we know. Now we are in the position to decide what is the appropriate capital mix or what is the best capital structure. Just like mixture wala, we have to create a combination, right? And the capital structure is combination of debt, equity, maybe preferences, maybe term loan, all these combinations will be there. We'll be creating. So it is in fact a balancing job. Balancing job in the sense you are aware of equities are more costly, debt is less costly. Right. But cost is less in case of debt, but risk is more. Why risk is more? Risk is more because even if there is no profit, you have to pay. You have to service your debt. You have to pay interest. And in due dates, you have to also repay the debt. So that is the risk. You are not earning any profit, but you have to pay. Whereas in equity, that risk is not there. Okay, that risk is not there for the business. If there is, since equity shareholders are the owners, if there is no profit, they are not going to claim anything. But when their profit, they'll be getting. So risk is more in case of debt, less in case of equity. Here we are talking about the risk of the business, not investors' risk. From investors' point of view, debt is less risky, equity is more risky. Therefore, cost of equity is more, cost of debt is less. Okay. From business point of view, debt is more risky and equity is less risky. So here we have to do a balancing job as a finance manager. So we have to do a balancing that how much debt, how much equity. You think of in your house when your mother cooks food. Let us say he is cooking a food like or cooking a curry, like something like cauliflower curry. So you can understand in winter when cauliflower becomes cheaper, you find out the proportion of cauliflower flour will be more than the potatoes. Okay, potatoes will be less, cauliflower will be more because cheaper things used, more used. But in summer season, when cauliflower becomes more costly, you can find out volume potato will be more and cauliflower will be less. So this decision it takes primarily on the basis of cost. So if you're asking me what is the primary or the main determinants of capital structure, you can say the first thing is cost. There might be other factors also, but the main determinants will be cost. Okay. Friends, if you look at your syllabus, we are at Unit 3. Unit 3 second part. Unit 3 first part was about leverage, which you have already learned. The Unit 3 second part is talking about the concept of capital structure, where the syllabus contains all these things, determinants of capital structure, theories of capital structure, relevance and irrelevance of dividend in capital structure, then problems of optimal capital structure. Yeah, that's it. The thing we have to learn. So first of all, let us understand what is a capital structure. If you look at your slide, you can read it. It refers to combination of capital in business. This particular decision involves deciding on the forms of finance. That means if you need some finance, you want it in the form of debt or you want it in the form of equity. You have to take a decision on this. That decision is referred to as capital structure decision. And here, friends, the term capital does not mean equity capital alone. Capital here means what? Equity as well as borrowings. That means the debts. In any entity, if you look at their capital structure, normally you can find both the things, unless there are some exceptional, maybe there may be some exceptional businesses where you can call them as the zero debt entities, where there is no debt. But normally, if you look at the financial statement of a business, you'll find that the capital structure consists of equity as well as debt. Okay. And this capital structure, in fact, reflects that how an entity or how a corporation finances, how it arranges finances. Okay, finances means finances its assets, its investments. It may be in the form of equity, debt, or hybrid securities. Hybrid security means a combination of debt and equity both. Earlier, we had discussed on this concept. For example, you can take an example of some convertibles. Convertible means these are some financial instruments which may be initially a debt, but after some period, they may be converted into equity. So it's a hybrid security. It will behave being like partly by debt, partly like debt, partly like equity. So when you talk about the firm's capital structure, we are in fact talking about the composition of its equities and debts. And here debts means long-term debts. Short-term debts is a different thing that is in fact a kind of working capital decision. Right. But long-term debts is a part of capital. Now, this question might be coming to your mind that why this capital structure is important. First reason is that uh, we need to know, or as a finance manager, if we are a finance manager, we need to know how to minimize the overall cost of capital. If overall cost of capital can be minimized, then owner's return can be maximized. We need to maximize the return. Therefore, we need to minimize the cost. And this cost minimization is possible by changing the proportion of various components of capital. That means by creating a suitable mix, just like the example I was giving, just like a mixer wala creates a suitable combination so that his overall cost will be minimum. Same is the situation here. Here also finance manager tries to create a mix in such a way that the overall cost will be minimum. Capital structure planning is important since the company might like to minimize the cost in order to maximize the wealth. As you are aware of, or from very beginning, you have learned that our objective of financial management is wealth maximization. And to achieve that thing, it may be necessary to minimize the cost. The ability of an organization to perform well in a market largely depends upon the efficiency of its capital structure. If capital structure is efficient, that means it is designed in such a way that overall cost of capital is minimum, then it will contribute a lot to the profitability of an entity. Therefore, it is important. What is capital structure? So, J.C. Barnhorn has defined it like this: the mix of firms' permanent long-term financing, represented by debt, preferred stock, and common stock. This is the meaning of capital structure. So, it is a combination of common stock, that is equity stock, plus preferred stock, plus debt. Friends, we already know how to compute cost of equity, cost of debt, and cost of preferred shares. So the combination of all these three things together is referred to as your capital structure. At this stage, quickly we'll be learning various types of capital structure. One type you can see on the screen, which we refer to as horizontal capital structure. Here you see it can be referred to as zero debt entity, where debt component is zero. It's an all equity form. That's why we call it as horizontal structure, only equity is there. A vertical capital structure, on the other hand, represents a situation where you can find a small amount of equity which serves as the foundation on which the super capital structure of reference or debt is built. You can look at the picture. At the foundation, you can find small amount of equity. On the top of it, preferred capital. On the top of it, debt capital. Okay, so incremental addition is almost entirely on debt. The quantum of retained earning is low here. The retained earning means the reserves, that means equity, that is also part of equity, that is also low. Dividend payout ratio is high. Okay, since profit might be more and equity is small. So when equity is small, that profit is distributed with small number of people. So dividend payout ratio becomes high per share. Financial risk is also high because large amount of debt, so fixed commitments are more. Because of lesser component of equity capital, it is vulnerable to hostile takeovers. So some outsiders may take over this farm in an unfriendly way. Hostile takeover is possible because of this vertical capital structure. Now, next type of capital structure you can refer to is pyramid shape capital structure. You see on the picture, a large part of capital is equity, which is at the bottom. Retained earning is little less than that, and debt is little less than that. A large portion of capital consists of equity or retained earning. Risk is ours. That means risk is less. Since debt commitments are low, risk is less. An opposite of this structure can be reverse pyramid structure, where equity is less, retained earning may be little more than that, but debt on the top of it is more. So a small amount of equity and reasonable amount of retained earning, there is an increasing component of debt. This type of capital structure is also highly vulnerable to collapse with high debt, high fixed commitments, risks. So these are the four types of capital structure we have seen. Capital structure is significant for various reasons. It reflects the farm's strategy. It talks about farm's growth strategy. If there is more debt, it brings faster growth. That means companies taking more risk, entities taking more risk with less cost. Capital structure is also an indicator of farm's risk profile, whether farm is willing to take more risk or risk averse. That one can understand by looking at the capital structure. It also acts as a tax management tool, since more debt means interest will be paid. On interest, there will be tax shield, because of interest payment, profit will be loss, profit will be loss, profit will be less, and less amount of income tax has to be paid. It also helps, that means capital structure also helps to brighten the image of the farm. Okay, so building a retained earning component by issuing shares at the premium involves the image of the farm and reduces the chances of hostile takeover. If there is more retained earning, that can be used for issuing bonus shares, and equity shares size, equity components can be more, and hostile takeover can be avoided. That is the advantage. And by looking at the capital structure, one can also understand the long-term solvency and profitability of the business, whether the business is profitable or not. Whether business will be solvent in long run, that also one can understand. It also helps in overall ranking of the farm in the industry. Because what happens, this good capital structure helps in reduction of cost of capital and increases the profitability. Right. So it improves the overall ranking within the industry. So friends, we broadly understood what is capital structure and what is its significance, what is its importance, various types of capital structure. We have learned up to this in this session. Let us take a short break now. We'll again catch up in the break of 5 minutes. Thank you.